Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Two Guys and a Mic. I'm Jason.
And I'm Dan.
All right. A little slow there, Dan.
Yeah. That's because of my age.
Yeah, it's because
I'm an
of your
old man.
Yes, Dan is calling from his humble abode. He's a little bit under the weather,
Yeah.
but that's okay. He still wants to do the show. Yes, we're going to introduce our guest, Mr. Joe Messerli. Did I say it correctly?
You did.
You can get your book on Amazon in paperback or even the Kindle edition. Are there any other places like Borders Books or any
You have a signed copy.
You do have a signed copy, huh?
Yes, I do. So anybody want to buy it,
Dan. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to give a little bit of a bio there on Joe. I want to make sure this is correct. 'Cause I got this actually off the back of his book. It says, you're a technology professional and a writer from Green Bay, Wisconsin. You're the original creator of all content for the blogging websites balancepolitics.org, which you sold in 2012, and politicallyincorrecthumor.com, and that has over 25 million hits to date. You're a graduate of UW-Whitewater with a degree in computer science and finance. Is that pretty accurate?
That is correct.
All right. Can you kind of give me a definition of what a political analyst is? In case for the people out there.
Basically, people that just follow a lot of the current events and kind of like news junkies that provide their opinions on things.
Okay.
Right.
Can you, now a lot of people are talking now about the deep state. A lot of people, though, out there don't actually understand what the deep state is. Can you give us your description of what is the deep state?
Well, I would define it as a very loosely organized group of people embedded in our government that really control the power in this country. It includes politicians, members of our intelligence agencies, political organizations, fact checkers, think tanks, and things like that. Members of the media, it's all connected in different ways, and a lot of the times the rich donors control things indirectly through this deep state, but they've been in power for so long, and they've been sabotaging not only Donald Trump, but really anyone who is an outsider, who doesn't go along with the common talking points of both major parties.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is their agenda?
To stay in power, really.
Okay.
I think that's everybody's agenda.
Right. But what is...
keep getting rich, too. I mean,
yeah, that's
money
true.
and power.
Right. And what does Donald Trump mean? What does Donald Trump mean to the deep state?
Well, he's a threat in every way because one of the biggest reasons is he's self-financed. He's not controlled by a lot of these billionaires and then political organizations and things like that. So they don't know what he's going to do. And he's already shown that he's going after these things that supposedly, like the Republicans supposedly want but never fight for, really returning rights to the people and taking away little things in our government that help them stay in power.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So in your opinion, Donald Trump is good for this country?
Oh, yeah. I think overall, definitely is putting voice to what so many of us have been thinking for so long, just very common sense things. Sometimes he goes a little over the top with the way he expresses it, but
yeah,
he still is
right.
Overall.
Then why do so many people, if he's doing such good things for the country, why do people want this guy impeached?
Because he's taken away their power. It's really what it is. I mean, you look at everything he's doing. When someone wants to increase, when someone wants to cut taxes, for example,
mm-hmm.
well, you're taking millions of dollars out of the treasury that they get to spend, and repay campaign contributions, and and things like that, and he's really calling them out for what they are, especially the people in the media. He's really fighting back, and that's a big threat to them. And you're already seeing it, that a lot of these lifelong politicians in both parties are going down.
Right.
I've heard the old saying where it says presidents are not put there to change things; they're put there to keep things the way they are. So, what makes Trump any different?
Excuse me, can you repeat that?
I said I've heard the old saying. Presidents are not put there to change things; they're there to keep things the way they are. So, what makes Donald Trump different than all the rest of them?
So many of the laws that he's trying to pass, the tax cuts, building the wall, stopping the flood of people coming across the border.
The Mexicans,
you name it. I mean,
the Mexicans, and of course in Canada we got the Mexicans with sweaters. Keep them going too. So.
And really, he's fighting for traditional America. He's fighting for traditional America because.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, so much of it is just it's become like there's something wrong with you if you say I love America, and he's returning to that Reagan spirit of being proud of your country and the freedoms and things like that. And
well, you notice
multiculturalism.
A lot of the veterans are finally getting recognition nowadays. You didn't see that with Obama. You saw how the veterans were treated poorly, I thought. And
he did praise Bo Bergdahl.
Who is that?
Bo Bergdahl. He was the guy that Obama traded 5 Taliban top commanders to get out.
Oh.
Who was basically a traitor.
Now, that name is kind of, you can't really remember it. Now, if his name was Igor Stravinsky, I think maybe I'd be able to remember it better. But go ahead, Dan.
So, what, Joe, would be the process of impeachment that these people are always talking about?
Well, it's defined in the Constitution, and really it's initiated by the House. So they have to have a certain number of votes, and then it's supposed to be tried in the Senate. In other words, however you want to define it, basically both houses have to vote for it. It's supposed to be for treason, high crimes, and misdemeanors, and that's a very loose definition, of course. So it really comes down to the politics, and because Republicans control the Senate, it's never going to happen, at least not in the next 2 years.
Right. Now, Bill Clinton was impeached, but he got to stay in power. Why is that?
Because it only got through the House, but it didn't get through the Senate because the Democrats controlled the Senate at that time. So, of course, for political reasons, they let him off.
Whether it's right or wrong. Gotcha.
Exactly.
So, in other words, it could happen the same way for Donald Trump.
Yeah, there's a very good chance that could happen. They're just looking for anything they can vote him on, and but it's all political. They just want to create the air of scandal. Like when you repeat something enough, this whole Russian thing, even from the start, it's just been repeating lies after lies after lies. But it's been repeated so often by so many networks and so many journalists and everything that it's just accepted as fact. That's their playbook.
Now, a lot of Republicans are afraid of the Robert Mueller investigation just because, with the fake news bringing out a bunch of things that obviously are not true. Just recently, Robert Mueller actually backed up Donald Trump, stating that some information that came out from a media outlet was actually not true. Is that going to go in favor of Donald Trump?
I think it has in this case. I question his motives, Mueller's motives in this. I think he his credibility is so shot that I think he's just throwing a bone to kind of get a little bit of it back. But
okay.
That's my opinion.
Right.
But,
There's
but yeah, this.
Go ahead.
I was going to say this latest BuzzFeed thing. I'm sure I don't know if all your listeners are following this, but basically it's a guy at BuzzFeed who reported this Russian story that was. I mean, the reporter himself has been caught lying several times and called on it, and yet he made this report, which he supposedly had anonymous sources, had never seen the evidence, and CNN and MSNBC, New York Times, everything, front page story, everything. They just ran with it, and then it turned out to not be true after Mueller questioned it.
Right. Well, it just seems like the Democrats are able to do certain things, but if the Republicans do the same, then it's a sin. It's kind of very biased for the Democrats right now.
Every day, I mean, you see 10 different double standard stories that if it would have been a Democrat, it would have been covered completely different to everything on Trump. And yeah, it's the world we live in.
Yep. As far as with the wall being immoral, according to Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, if you go on YouTube, there's a lot of videos showing Nancy Pelosi's house completely surrounded by a wall. There's also a podcaster that had put out there that any illegal aliens can come to Nancy Pelosi's house and get free food, and I guess her house was actually barraged by a bunch of illegal aliens. You would think that would start making her think, but once a dumbass, always a dumbass. So I don't know if she'll ever change. But speaking of the wall, Donald Trump has the opportunity to call a national emergency as far as for building the wall. How is he able to be able to build a wall if he calls the national emergency? What kind of things would happen in this country if he called a national emergency?
If he calls a national emergency, he has the power to take some set-aside funds and use it for how he so chooses to deal with that national emergency. It's a wide definition of what you can call a national emergency, but it's never been used for the wall before. So what's probably going to happen is Trump's going to declare the national emergency, set aside the money for the wall. The Democrats are going to run to court, and then they're going to find some liberal judge to put a stay on it, and then it's going to be months and months and months, and nothing's going to happen. That's my guess. And then the politics come into it, and
it always seems like a big gigantic waiting game that really nothing ever happens.
Well,
yeah, every president promises the same thing on this. The wall and tightening the border, but it never happens.
Yeah, they have 4 years to do it, but they're being railroaded or blocked at every corner, and they can't get it done. Whatever happened to working together to get things going? It just doesn't work in politics, I guess. Now I
always said that.
Yeah, go ahead.
A way to get the Mexicans and the Hondurans to pay for part of that wall. Now, when an illegal alien comes into this country, from one of the gates, whatever it's called, on the border, they're held for 30 days, correct, Joe?
I'm not sure on the exact timing, but yeah, they can be held for a little bit, but then a lot of times if they get in, they can be released back into our population, and they're supposed to come back on a certain court date, but of course they never show for that.
So while they're being held, all the capable young men, why don't they have them build the wall?
Because they're too busy playing video games and living in mama's basement. That's why.
Right.
These millennials. That's the way I see it.
It's just the way of Donald Trump getting one of the things that he promised is getting Mexico to pay for it. I know the Democrats, they're just jumping all over that. But if Donald Trump made it to the point where while these aliens, these illegal immigrants are being held, they have to be on a workforce for 30 days and make them build a wall.
Huh? Well,
be nice, but
well, it's kind of hard to do with
probably
that.
Define that as slavery.
It's kind of hard to do with that government shutdown going on.
The thing is, though, they do that with prison inmates. Why couldn't they do that with people who are being held?
I think prisons are private institutions.
Well, a lot of them are state-run, no?
Yeah, but there's a lot of politics involved in that. Somebody's padding their wallets somewhere. It all boils down to money. It always does. So whoever said money didn't buy happiness doesn't know where to shop. So,
no kidding. So why don't you, Jason, mention our phone number and our PIN number and see if we can get somebody on the line to ask Mr. Messerli some questions.
Well, I have it up on the screen in big, gigantic letters, but I'll go ahead and just put in the phone number, 605-472-5384, and the PIN number is 161335#. It's not a hashtag, people. It's a £. Now, Joe, there's a website out there. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called needtoimpeach.com. Have you heard about that website?
I have not.
It's basically a website that is trying to gather signatures to try and get Trump impeached. I mean, I know that can't be done, but they gave 10 impeachable offenses that he's done. I'm going to read number 1 and let me know if it's true. It says, after taking office, Trump asked FBI Director James Comey to abandon the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election, which the FBI had already connected to Michael Flynn. When Comey refused to alter course, Trump fired him. Trump then admitted the firing was over the Russia thing in a televised interview, and in a tweet months later, he stated that he had to fire Michael Flynn because he lied to the FBI, further affirming that he dismissed James Comey in an attempt to quash the FBI's investigation. So the bottom line is, Trump has repeatedly attempted to interfere in the Russia investigation and admitted as much, and that's a clear case of obstructing justice. So that's a reason they think they should impeach this man.
Well, first of all, I would dispute a lot of the facts in there. They're very, again, so much of this Russian investigation, they state things as facts when they're not exact, when they have people that are questioning that or denying things in there. They don't put that in their statements, that it's if true, should be added to every single one of these things.
Right.
But the Constitution is, if you look at it on the impeach part, all it really says is treason, high crimes, misdemeanors, and that's it.
Uh-huh.
Everything else is left up to the courts and interpretation.
Okay, so that's
but
really
I
not
mean,
a good
so much
reason.
of this, you would think they would have to prove a lot of this stuff. I mean, you think about what you have to go to court and prove to get somebody convicted of a crime. None of this stuff they can prove. It's all just their interpretation.
Right, and of course, in the court of public opinion, he's already guilty as charged.
At least for half the country.
At least for half the country, yes. Especially those SJWs out there who, he's also, number 2 is he's violating the emoluments clause of the U.S. Constitution. Emoluments clause, yeah. I don't know about that. But it says because Trump never divested from his business interests, he violated the Constitution every time the Trump Organization has business dealings with foreign or American government. So being that he still is running his business, even though he's president, that's another impeachable offense right there.
Well, if that's an impeachable defense, I think pretty much all 535 members of Congress would be impeached. And
I hear you.
I mean, Nancy Pelosi is worth what, 300 million or something like.
Wow.
300, on a salary of 180,000, she built that up, I believe. So,
well, yeah.
Who is that?
Nothing to see here.
Nancy Pelosi.
Nothing to see here. Move along.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think when it comes to Nancy Pelosi, Jason probably wants to smoke cigars with her. So.
Yeah. Right. Well, for 300 million, yeah, she really looks good. For 300 million, like I said, whoever doesn't know money buys happiness. So, anything else?
Okay, number three.
Number three. Conspiring with others to commit crimes against the United States and attempting to conceal those violations. I'll get to the bottom line here. It says Trump tried to cover up his campaign's contacts with Russian nationals, which at the very least constituted a violation of federal law. I don't know. What do you think?
Again, every single presidential candidate has met with foreign leaders. It's
right.
You know, even if they did prove collusion, it's not a crime. It's not a crime.
Okay.
They can't prove it, and they can't prove it anyway. So it's
that's
more ridiculous by the day.
Yeah, it seems.
So
to be.
why is it the Democrats are trying to make such a big deal out of Russian collusion if it's not even a crime?
It's all about the appearance of something underhanded, and it gets in people's mind that this person is corrupt.
Now, how come they keep forgetting about Obama and Hillary Clinton and the Uranium One deal, but yet Donald Trump might have talked to a Russian? I mean, come on.
Again, when someone's working for the State Department and suddenly has hundreds of millions of dollars coming into a quote-unquote charitable organization,
right?
That's nothing to investigate, but someone might have talked to a Russian. Oh, got to spend 2 years investigating this.
I mean, they can call it non-profit, but what it is they're just paying their daughter millions of dollars, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it's a laundering
so what do you got?
operation. That's what it is.
Right. So what do you got for number 4 there, Jason?
Number 4, he's advocating violence and undermining equal protection under the law. Bottom line, Trump has demonstrated a pattern of behavior amounting to advocating violence, undercutting equal protection, and as a result, failing basic constitutional duties. I think it's just because of the way he talks. People kind of take it as a threat, I think.
Now, there's those double standards that Joe was talking about earlier. Look at Obama and with these black men attacking police with knives and guns.
Right.
And, they're talking about how Donald Trump is promoting violence. What do you think Obama did for the last 4 years?
That's a good question. What did he do?
I mean, I mean, when you think about it, the race relations now, when Obama was leaving office, was worse than it was before he came into office, because he would be involving himself in the civil police actions, which he shouldn't have involved himself in. You know, like who are some of the guys that were killed by police? The Trayvon Williams, I think it was. Or
Trayvon Martin, was it? Oh, Trayvon Williams. Okay.
Oh, yeah. What was it? Trayvon something. And didn't Obama say it could have been a son of his?
Well, because, yeah.
Well, you know, and but yet the Democrats want to say that Donald Trump is trying to create troubles like that. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous about the double standards. What do you got for number 5?
Number 5, abuse of pardon power. I guess he had pardoned Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Joe Arpaio was convicted for contempt of court after ignoring a court order that he stopped detaining and searching people based on the color of their skin. So obviously Joe Arpaio was a racist, some people would say. But the bottom line,
most illegal aliens are lily white, blonde haired, right?
Have you noticed it always seems that there's more protection for the illegal aliens than there are for the American citizens sometimes?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just sad. I mean, we're giving billions and billions of dollars to other countries while we have starving people here that we could be helping. So, I don't know. But the bottom line is Trump's pardon of Joe Arpaio violates the Fifth Amendment and harms the guarantee of constitutional rights. What do you think about that, Joe?
It's kind of laughable when you look at so many of the pardons throughout history.
Right.
There's a good reason most presidents save all their pardons for like their last few weeks in office, like Mark Rich and the Clinton pardon.
Nixon,
one of the most corrupt people. Yeah, I mean, every single president has pardoned people for 10 times worse than Joe Arpaio.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
I don't. I've seen some video of Joe Arpaio, and when he was in, I believe it's New Mexico, when he was running the jail there. He's got people out in tents, out in the hot sun, wearing the prison stripes. I mean, it's not. I mean, yeah, it's humiliation, but you know, they're not in jail for singing too loud in church. You know, they obviously did something wrong. So to treat them like that, or treat them like an inmate. That's the way inmates should be treated.
How about Joe? You know, as far as the wall, I saw it written out where the $4.7 trillion budget that the government would try in passing, the $5.7 billion actually amounts to, if you had a person who made $47,000 a year, okay? This would be like a lower middle income, but if they made $47,000 a year, that would be like them using $52 of that $47,000 to build a fence. Now, when you put it in a perspective like that, that is just ungodly ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to look at it. This is really one day's worth of spending for the federal government.
Really?
In their budget. Yeah, it's a day. And when they say this is about they don't want to spend the money, it's probably the most ridiculous thing to come out of any politician's mouth in how many years, I don't know. But yeah, it's a rounding error.
It takes a lot of money to run a country. I mean, I've heard this was like 10 or 15 years ago. In order to run one of those, not a battleship, but the aircraft carrier, to run that, it takes $1 million a day to run that thing. And I don't know how many we have in the fleet, but I'm sure it's a lot. And at $1 million a day, and that was 15 years ago. I'm sure it's probably more now with the inflation. But I tell you, gas is down. I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Now, Joe,
who gets hurt? You know who gets hurt by gas going down more than anybody?
Who?
Russia.
The Saudis.
Russia. How do you figure
Russia,
that?
Their economy is totally based on oil. If they don't have oil money coming in, then their economy grows the tubes. So if you would think that if Trump was controlled by Russia, he would do everything to get gas prices to go up.
That's true.
I never thought of that. Now, what is China's economy run by?
Smog.
Trade mostly.
So when Donald Trump is trying to change the trade with China, it's actually affecting them greatly.
Yeah, what happened with so many of the countries that we do business with is we had corporations that wanted to build companies there. They wanted to expand their business, get more sales coming in, and so they went to our government and said, do whatever you have to, promise whatever you have to, just so we can do business. And so what they would do to get into China is they would say, okay, if we can sell your cars here, we will allow it, but we are going to charge you $5,000 a truck or something like that. And
right.
We're saying, oh yeah, okay, we'll go along with that. And this was many years ago, and you see this in the NAFTA and the Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement. So then all these years have passed right now, and all these stupid deals that we have made to get initially in there are still in place. And so Trump is trying to reverse that, because you look at it, there's so many things that are unfair to American businesses because they start out at a cost disadvantage because of this.
Okay.
And that's what he's trying to fight. And China, more than anybody, has these deals because we weren't exactly on friendly terms when we first started doing a lot of this business in there. So we promised them the world. And that's why there's one of the reasons that there's such a big trade imbalance right now is because of these deals.
Huh.
Right. Now, for any listeners out there, we're talking to Joe Messerli, political analyst and author of The Vigilante Terrorist. If you'd like to ask him a question, call us at 605-472-5384. The PIN number you will use is 161335, followed by the pound sign. Call us anytime right now. We're live with Joe Messerli.
Now,
go ahead.
Number 6 is a doozy, let me tell you. Number 6 is engaging in conduct that grossly endangers the peace and security of the United States. It's basically saying that he is unfit to perform his duties as commander-in-chief, and he cannot be allowed. He's basically reckless, and he needlessly endangers millions of Americans with his unstable behavior. In other words, he's a weirdo.
Do they give any examples of this?
No, they give, well, let me see. High-ranking administration officials involved in foreign affairs have signaled that Trump does not have the capacity to make informed decisions in the event of a military crisis. That's one.
There's your deep state influence.
Right. Even worse, his actions could spark a needless confrontation stemming from misunderstanding or miscalculations. But who knows that better than he does, right? Isn't that how he always says? Whenever
peace is breaking out in North Korea and
right.
stuff like that.
It says, we see this in full effect every time Trump tweets or makes a public statement taunting and threatening the North Korean regime. I thought he was trying to try to bring North Korea together, make it peaceful.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is the friendliest terms we've been on with North Korea and probably since the 50s. But
this must be a liberal website. It's got to be.
Oh yeah.
So far, almost 7 million people have signed up, but like I said, I don't think that's gonna.
Well,
talk about deep state. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When you talk about the deep state influence, so many of these things like news reports, websites, internet memes. This is all very coordinated by a lot of people that are connected to these billionaires and political organizations. And
right.
And one of the things I cover in my book is I created a presidential candidate, a third-party presidential candidate, and I constructed him as the perfect candidate that most people look for. I mean, uncorruptible, intelligent, now, all kinds of solutions to different things.
Right.
And then I show how journalists and political organizations and government officials, everything, systematically destroy him, systematically destroy his life, his reputation, on just a 1 through 10 formula that they do on every candidate they want to destroy. And that's one of the scariest thing in this country, and that's why it's so hard to get good people in office.
Right. Well, the one thing we can always say, without a doubt, this is the hottest first lady ever. I mean, she definitely is more beautiful than Jacqueline Kennedy, even though Jacqueline Kennedy was a very beautiful lady.
That's just Hillary, even?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
No, she's not as good looking as Hillary is. I don't know. I think you got your women twisted around there, Dan.
Yeah, right. So, okay.
Another thing is he undermines the freedom of the press. I love what he did to Acosta. That was classic.
Yeah, he called him rude, and the Democrats jumped all over that because Trump was a very terrible person for calling Jim Acosta rude.
He was rude.
Well, no kidding.
When the president of the United States tells you to shut up, you shut up.
Yep.
Yeah, when there's hundreds of other reporters in the room and he won't let anyone else ask a question, I'd call that pretty rude.
Yeah.
Yep.
Seems pretty rude to me. But of course, the Democrats don't see it that way. It's Trump, not the news people. So
now, Joe, did you see the reaction from Kellyanne Conway and what she had told Jim Acosta to his face?
Oh yeah,
called him a smart ass. That was funny.
Well, that's what he is.
Yep.
Of course, who would know better than Trump? I love how he says that. Nobody knows that better than me. He's got a great attitude about it. And like I said, I don't think we've had too many presidents that were businessmen. And I think he's trying to run America like it's a business, and I think that's how it should be run.
Well, definitely. In order to get the United States back in the black, you have to have a president that's business minded.
Right.
And to tell you the truth, Joe, I know in the past, obviously not in my lifetime, there was one other president that was a businessman. Do you recall who that was?
Calvin Coolidge.
Sounds good to me. I'll take that as an answer. I know there was one other time. There was one other time in the past that a president was a businessman and the country ran well.
Yeah. Well. Mm-hmm. But that must have been before they introduced the Federal Reserve, right? When money actually was worth something.
Right. Now, there's a good question right there, Joe. One of the things that President Trump had said in the not too distant past, he had mentioned how he'd like to get rid of the Federal Reserve. If he would do that, what would be his reasoning, and what kind of fallout, whether it's good or bad, could happen if the Federal Reserve was abolished?
Well, that's a good question. Really, currency would be more meaningful. It'd be more stable then, because it would be backed by gold or something like it used to be in the old days.
Right. And
so much of our financial system is based on not real value, but the perception of value. And that's why it's teetering, and that's why we had the financial crisis in 2007, and how things could very quickly go back to that. And you see the Federal Reserve right now, which I think they're doing intentionally, is they're raising interest rates. They've had something like 4 hikes in the last year, and really that is sabotaging the economy for Trump.
Right.
He is working with kind of like something holding him back the whole way, and I wouldn't be surprised to see us go into recession based solely on what the Federal Reserve was doing. I mean, I was watching the Financial Channel, and Jim Cramer, their main financial analyst and stocking, he was just like practically throwing stuff on set, going crazy about why are they raising rates? This makes no sense.
Right.
But
so, okay.
Well, it seems like the Federal Reserve has America by the short and curlies. There's really nothing we can do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have to. I mean, the last president who tried to get rid of the Federal Reserve, Kennedy, and you know what happened to him? He was trying to bring back the silver certificates, backing it by silver, and they exploded his head for it, I believe. I don't know. So it's a pretty dangerous thing to take on the Federal Reserve.
Well, I heard it said that our money right now, all it is a paper IOU with fancy lettering on it.
Yeah, it's backed by absolutely nothing. The only thing that gives it value is how much is in circulation.
So what would happen, Joe, if the Federal Reserve was taken out?
That's difficult to say. There's so many influences in the world economy. My guess is it's too late to take them out because they're so embedded in everything.
I just understand that you're a bunch of big old.
Oh, who's
Hello?
this? It's like we got a troll here. Trolls everywhere.
That's them damn Democrats.
Yeah, probably the old Obamites.
It sounded just like Nancy Pelosi.
Well, you know, I believe. I mean, if you were to get rid of the Federal Reserve, I'm sure the stock market would just take a huge dive. For one thing,
Initially,
yeah.
I mean, it would be chaos for them.
Now, in the past, Joe, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer both voted for big bills for the wall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're talking about the double standards of the Democrats. I heard it said like in 2007, 2008, Nancy Pelosi had voted for like $40 billion towards a wall. What's changed?
The person in office, the presidency, that's about it. It's all politics and
they just don't like the guy.
Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, if this was... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, if the media actually reported these facts, you would see 90% people against the Democrats on this government shutdown issue, because virtually every Democrat that's been in the media opposing the wall has been on record either voting or saying directly that they want to fund a wall.
Okay. Well, do you feel like Republicans nowadays, because of all the fake news, they're actually getting more informed? They're more involved in their political party. Do you feel you know, because the Republicans have to fight to breathe right now because the Democrats are trying to quell everything that Donald Trump is doing. You notice too that more Republicans are getting more involved in their party?
Seems that way. Hope it continues.
But
yeah.
Trump wasn't always a Republican, though, wasn't he? An independent or something like that?
I think he's evolved over the years, but
I think they should,
like Reagan.
I think they should bring back the Whigs, the Whig Party. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Could you see Bernie Sanders wearing a wig?
Well, no, it's just you have it's always the same two parties all the time, every time Republican Democrat, Republican Democrat. So we have a
Right.
caller here. Hopefully this is not a troll. Coney, hello. Can you hear us? Hello. Well, I guess they don't want to talk. I guess they're just listening. Well, go ahead. Keep going.
Who are you talking to?
You or Joe? What were we talking? We're talking about. Yes, it always seems like it's always Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican. It's never independents or anything else like that. It's always the same two parties, and nothing's going to change.
Well,
as long as these two parties are at each other's throats.
Yeah,
Well,
but
go
go
ahead. I was
ahead.
going to say here's a little known fact on presidential debates and why it stays as two parties is that they have a 15% threshold that you have to reach in polls to even be in the presidential debates. So anytime we never even really get to see these third party candidates in action because they're prevented from being in these debates by that 15% rule. And guess who put that in? Republicans and Democrats.
Right. But if you look at our past,
Go
get
ahead.
rid of them.
Yeah, I am. These people.
If you look at the past, when we had an independent, the last one who actually was listened to was Ross Perot, a businessman.
Ross Perot.
And in order for, I think Donald Trump was smart because in order to be considered a legitimate candidate, he had to pick one of the two parties, and obviously he went Republican.
Right.
So that's how he got his voice heard.
Mm.
Do you see Donald Trump winning again
in the next election? I would say he probably will sneak in another term.
Good.
Well, he's got to finish that wall.
Yeah, I mean, if he caved on that, he's done. This is why he's not. He can't. He just can't at this point.
I don't see. I don't see Trump backing down on anything. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to look at talk about a president that's been working hard ever since day one. The thing is, the Democrats they're in a flurry because Donald Trump is pressing forward as fast and as hard as he can to get things accomplished. And it's actually sweeping the Democrats off their feet because they have never seen anything like this before. They're scared because this guy made promises and he's been keeping every one of them. Promises kept. Do you agree with that, Joe?
As much as he's been able to, I think he's been sabotaged so much along the way, even by people in his own party. And you see a lot of those people that did the sabotaging, like Jeff Flake and Bob Corker, getting voted out of office or being forced to leave because their poll numbers were so low.
Right. Well, I just got a feeling that Donald Trump will win a second term, and when it comes time for the House to vote for people in the House, you're going to see Republicans winning greatly, and then you're going to get to see a lot more getting accomplished. Are you there?
Yeah.
I am.
Okay.
Oh, we just
My
had
phone kind of.
we just had another caller, and the caller's name is Joe Messerli. I think it's well. I'll tell you one thing I can say about YouTube. It's a great place to be, but there are so many trolls and so many people who are trying to disrupt a lot of shows. It's sickening. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I like to hear from a Democrat that isn't out to cause trouble. Let's see if we can get a Democrat online that's going to be respectable and have common sense. if we can get one online, that would be great.
Yeah, I don't think
But-
that's going to happen.
Well, I mean that's like praying to get a unicorn, I guess.
Well, see, this is what they do. They'll come on the show, and then they'll blast their radios, into the mic, trying to disrupt whatever someone else is doing. You know what I mean? They're called trolls. Right. They're called trolls, and they're just worthless. So, but we got to fight them all the time on YouTube, all the time.
So Joe, let's talk a little more about your book and what made you decide to write a book?
Well, it was a bucket list item, of course, but the book, it centers on a story of this group of highly trained individuals, a couple Navy SEALs, and led by a Marine. And each one of these people in this terrorist group have a story of somehow how the media and a lot of these behind-the-scenes organizations destroyed their lives. Like the head of this organization, this terrorist organization, is a Marine, and his wife was a politician who ran for the Senate and had the media and a lot of these opposition research groups destroy her life, and she ended up killing herself. And so he started this to kind of fight back against this, and that's how they launched this terrorist operation, very highly sophisticated in this. And I kind of wanted to entertain and kind of teach at the same time, because most people don't want to read about politics. They don't want to read about a lot of these political groups and things like that. So I tried to make it a little more interesting.
Is it a work? Is it like based on a true story, or did it just come off the dome?
There's a lot of it that's based on real life people.
Okay.
And I'm guessing some of it might be recognized as people in real life, but I tried to change enough of the details for liability reasons. But
right.
you'll see how it connects to a lot of real life things going on in the world right now.
Okay.
And how can a person get a hold of your book?
Just go to Amazon.com. It's available in paperback or Kindle.
Yep, and it's.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's called the Vigilante Terrorist.
Mm-hmm.
Terrorists with an S.
Right.
Yep. So
do you keep getting that same troll there, Jason? Because I keep hearing noises.
No, he's not calling anymore. I think he he or she probably gave up. Okay, now I got one more here, number 10. Okay. Now number 10 is he violated campaign finance laws. Donald Trump new disclosure of his extramarital affairs with Stephanie Clifford's, a.k.a. Stormy Daniels, and Karen McDougal could hurt his chances at winning the 2016 election. At the direction of Trump, Michael Cohen and American Media, Inc., the publisher of the National Enquirer, bought the rights to the women's stories and forced them to sign non-disclosure agreements to prevent them from going public. Cohen admitted to making illegal hush money payments to hide Trump's affairs in the fall of 2016, just weeks before the election. So basically, the bottom line is Trump committed at least 2 felonies to illegally cheat his way into office. What, bribery? Is that what he's talking about? How many people bribe each other day after day? Happens a lot in Congress.
Yeah, and then he used his own money. If this whole story is true, he used his own money, which isn't illegal. He paid a fraction of what Clinton paid a bunch of the women off in
right
a couple decades ago.
I mean,
but this is another Democratic double standard.
I mean, so what if he had extramarital affairs? I mean, look at John F. Kennedy. You know.
Mm-hmm. And paying hush money doesn't necessarily mean he had an extramarital affair. I mean, all it takes is some noisy person to accuse, and we've seen how the media runs with any accusation.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Exactly.
it could happen with anything. I mean, now nobody's safe. Like I was talking to somebody the other day. We are talking about teachers, and uh, I mean, nowadays, if a teacher is even accused with no evidence or information, let's say he or she decided to do something with a student, and even if it wasn't true, if somebody just says it, the person's career is over. It's over. I mean, that's all it takes. It's just somebody to say something, and social media takes it, and it just you're done. You're cooked. Instead of being a teacher, you're going to be a fry cook for the rest of your life. That's
why I am very fortunate in life to be ugly and poor, because no one's ever going to say they had sex with me.
Well, like I said,
I don't think your wife will even admit it to it. So.
Yeah, I know. I got to pay her just to admit she kisses me.
Just to sit down next to him on the couch, right? But yeah, like I said, this need to impeach thing. I mean, like I said, it's maybe just a bunch of Democrats trying to sway the people's minds so they can. I think basically it's not for this. It's for the next election. That way, nobody votes for Trump. So.
Yeah, it's something to just try to maximize hatred of Donald Trump and get their base as solid as possible.
They're thinking ahead, basically. So
Joe, let me ask you, what is the biggest thing that you see happening that maybe not many people know about as far as with government that really upsets you the most?
By far, it's the inner workings of the political groups with the media. I mean, so many of the stories that we see nearly every day are engineered. They're basically put together by opposition research teams who will comb through every single part of your background. Now think about just everything you've said, done, written in your entire life. I mean, every paper in school, Facebook, Twitter, just go through right down the lines, interviews, cell phone videos, texts, emails, and everything. And then you talk about how the NSA and a lot of these intelligence agencies are going behind the scenes. And just imagine someone could comb through every single part of your background. They could turn you into anything. I mean, how many times in your life have you joked about something that if someone got a hold of this and it was made public, they could turn you into a racist or a sexist or anything like that? And you see this happening to nearly every single political candidate that is an outsider that they want to destroy. And that's what they're doing. And you see all these stories that you see coordinated in the media are fed by these organizations. They distribute them on a daily basis. And then you ever wonder why so many of the stories are in the media, and it's stuff that people don't care about, something that doesn't really affect their lives. Like, you look at this, I don't know if you saw a story that was yesterday. Supposedly there was a couple of kids in a Make America Great hat who were harassing an Indian or chanting or something like this. Well, they clipped the video, and if you see the full video, it doesn't reflect what's going on. But this was like the top story in 4 or 5 different news organizations. Now,
Right.
Why did they suddenly pick this out as the top story to run for the day? It's because it was coordinated. It was sent out. It was collected by these political organizations, distributed to all their media contacts in the liberal media, and then they run it.
Right.
And it's designed to make people hate Donald Trump, make him look like a racist, make any followers of his look like a racist. But it has, even if the stuff that was portrayed in the video were true, it doesn't matter. It's 1 out of 300 million people.
Right.
But it's a top story.
And of course, they wear the red.
You see all the time.
They wear the red Donald Trump hat, so they make people think that they were inspired by Donald Trump to do that.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, that's kind of bringing back the Trayvon Martin incident. What the news didn't bring out is the day that Trayvon Martin was killed by the police. There was a young lady, white, with a baby, walking a baby in a stroller, that a black man shot and killed the baby, and then shot the mother too. The mother didn't die, but the baby did. You didn't hear about that in the news.
The Trayvon Martin, yeah.
Go ahead.
Say that's an excellent example of how the media manipulates.
Oh.
The Trayvon
Wow.
media. This is the way they manipulated it. The whole uproar came because George, I can't think of his last name, the guy who was charged with the murder. He called, made a
Zimmerman.
911. Zimmerman, yes, thank you. He called 911, and they played a clip of the 911 call saying, "Well, he looks black. He's up to no good." But what happened when you play the full video of that is the 911 operator said, "Well, is he white or is he black?" And then he responded, "He looks black."
Right.
So they cut out the part of the 911 operator. NBC cut out the 911 operator's question, so it made it look like it was a racist statement. And the whole uproar came from that.
Huh.
And it was totally based on a lie.
Wow. I can't believe the media would do something like that, huh?
But that's something to Google. And to this day, I bet you that 99% of liberals do not know that fact.
Right. So, remember when President Trump came out and made an announcement just recently, and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi wanted their time also on television. Can you recall of anything like that happening ever before?
I've seen it in response to like a major presidential speech on like a State of the Union or something like that. But no, it's a recent thing. It's kind of like a tantrum response, in my opinion.
Right. Now, if I was President Trump, if I'm going to talk to the people about how are these people getting through?
Well, they call the number. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to lock the room. I'm going to lock the room. I have to lock the room. They got these. All I'm getting is trolls today. Must be the Pelosi trolls coming out.
Yep.
So go ahead.
What the hell was I talking about?
I don't know.
This getting old sucks. No, what was I talking about? We're all old.
Or something like that.
I know. I guess.
I know what it was.
Oh.
When Donald Trump was talking to the American citizens about wanting to build a wall, what I would have done if I was him is I would have showed video of Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi when they're talking, from years back about needing a wall. I would have been showing that. That would have shut them up in a hurry. Yeah,
Twitter. Trump has been having a blast with this, I think, on Twitter. Just like he's playing clips from Schumer and Obama and all these other ones advocating for the wall, and he's saying, thanks for the advice. He'll tweet. And
you know the thing, Joe, is a lot of people, they just don't care. They'll see it. It could be right in their face, and the person could completely have been a hypocrite, and they don't care. It's like they're going to like who they like. If you're Democrat, you're going to be Democrat no matter what the Democrats do.
Right.
Now there are those. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and the Democrats don't care because they know 99% of the media is not going to play their statements. So,
Right.
their voters remain happily ignorant.
Yeah, yeah, that's sad. It's a sad
Well,
way.
Well, the Democrats are trying to use the media for their agenda. I think it's time for Donald Trump to start using past media recordings to help his agenda.
Right.
I mean, it's time for him to start bringing this out. You know what I mean?
I would love to see him in his State of the Union address that Pelosi is trying to prevent. I would love to see him do something like that. Just sit there. I'm going to give some equal time to my Democrats, and then play the clips of all these things. And
yep, that's great. And also, speaking of that, Nancy Pelosi wanting the State of the Union address canceled for right now. What do you think about what Donald Trump did by canceling a military airplane for Nancy Pelosi's trip?
I thought it was pretty funny, actually.
Yep, I think it's hilarious. Because why should the government be shut down, but yet she can use government, things such as airplanes and such to do her agenda?
Well, the thing is, like you were saying, Joe, she has a lot of money. What'd you say, 300 million or something like that? Flight coach on Southwest Airlines or something like that. Get to Egypt that way. Why do you have to take a government plane? Just flight coach. No one will recognize you there. Because, like I said, the people are willfully ignorant. Just put on some makeup and big old sunglasses and go to Egypt.
That's the same with that's the same with the presidential run Hillary Clinton did. Donald Trump used his personal plane for flying to these different places for gatherings. Hillary Clinton was using Air Force One. So the taxpayers, even the Republicans, were paying for her to use Air Force One or Air Force Two. What was her? What was the name of the plane? It had a nickname, like the Flying Broom or something like that. Yeah, it really did. It was hilarious.
The Flying Broom.
It was very fitting. Yep.
Oh.
From what I hear, the Secret Service had a lot of nicknames for Hillary.
Yep. Do you think she's going to run again?
I think she's going to entertain the idea. I'm not sure she can win another primary, just because even Democrats are starting to hate her.
And what about this new young lady from California that's is in the House, Ocasio or something like that? What do you think about her? I mean, she's very outspoken.
Are you talking about Ocasio-Cortez?
Oh, the one with the big old bug eyes. Yeah.
Now she's a socialist, I think. What do you think of her? Do you think she'll get anywhere?
I think she's a voice of our educational system nowadays.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's sad, some of the things that come from her. It's
pretty scary.
You see it in a lot of memes.
She's only like 27, 28 years old, so she's going to be around for a long time.
Oh, great.
Oh, yeah. See what we have to look forward to?
Now, Nancy Pelosi, she's like 108 years old. Is she like eating Dannon yogurt or something that is keeping her alive this long?
Hey,
oh my goodness!
Speaking of old ladies, what was that judge, that Supreme Court
Ruth
judge?
Bader Ginsburg.
Is she still alive, or did she kick the bucket?
She's hanging on by a thread.
Hanging on by a thread.
I think Chuck and Nancy are kind of do the Weekend at Bernie's thing with her.
That's funny you say that, because there was Joe. Have you ever heard of QAnon?
I have not.
Okay, it's a group that has a lot of conspiracy theories, and they believe that that judge is actually dead. They're just not bringing it out because they're hiding the fact, so that way Donald Trump doesn't get an opportunity to put in another Supreme Court judge.
And this.
Well, she's missing arguments right now, so
this lady is quite the fighter. Let me tell you. I mean, she's older than dirt, but back in the day she was battling pancreatic cancer. And pancreatic cancer, if nobody knows what that is, that's from what I've heard, the most painful cancer to have, and there's only like a 5% survival rate.
Ooh, correct.
And this woman beat that. So she
I think if you drink enough pickle juice, it'll keep you standing straight. Doesn't mean you're alive.
Huh? Well, yeah, they could just take her to the taxidermist and get her stuffed.
Now, with Brett Kavanaugh now on the Supreme Court, you don't hear anything about him anymore. Do you think the Democrats finally gave up their fight when it came to Brett Kavanaugh?
I think they almost have to, because I think it's been 4 accusers now have come out and admitted they lied.
Oh, really? See, that I didn't
that
about.
Came out.
Wow.
Can you
now?
Go ahead.
Are you affiliated with another political website, Joe?
Just the politically incorrect humor one that I have on there. I, of course, frequent quite a few, but
now is your website the politically incorrect? How many hits are you getting on that?
Politically incorrect humor. It's a relatively new website. It's less than a year old. It's getting a couple thousand a day.
Couple thousand a day. I think we need to get Joe on the show more often. Maybe we'll get some hits here.
Well,
the like for our show, two guys and a mic. My mom is a subscriber. The problem is she passed away 10 years ago.
Well, it's like when the Democrats, when they're ready to vote, you got the dead. Even the dead people are voting.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah.
What do they say? Throwing Mama off the cliff in dirty air and dirty water? No, they're digging Mom out of the ground, making her vote. Put the coins in her eyes and just set her up in the bed in the living room. But
so Joe, how about your future as far as being an author? Do you have any other books coming out? Do you have anything that you're starting? Any new projects?
I've thought about writing a sequel to my first one, because no spoilers, but there's a cliffhanger at the end. And then probably just expanding this website, since it seems to be taking off, and the associated Facebook page for it, which got something like 13,000 followers on it right now.
I know there was...
How many copies of your book have you sold so far?
Something like 2,000 or so.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. So I'm sure New York Times aren't going to make you a bestseller because you're probably not making the Democrats happy.
Probably not.
And
I'm guessing journalists won't want to tout this book.
Well, I was just thinking maybe you and Jim Acosta should go together and write a book.
Why? He wouldn't let Joe speak.
Yeah, that's true. But maybe you ever consider a lot of the things that are not being said in the media? Maybe you should be the man to do that? Because it sounds like you've got a lot of followers.
Maybe someday.
No, like running for office or something? Yeah.
Oh, I got too many things in my background for that ever to happen.
Yeah.
Some involving Dan.
Yeah, well,
And we'll leave
I
that
thought
there.
we weren't going to mention that. Hey, I thought we weren't going to mention that.
You know, I know,
And that only happened once.
and I know there was a show called Politically Incorrect. That was with Bill Maher. Are you a big Bill Maher fan, Joe?
He doesn't bother me as much as a lot of liberals, but I mean, he can be funny occasionally, but because a lot of times he does take on liberals as much as conservatives, but
Right.
that's not known very much. But I haven't watched him for a long time.
I mean, his I think he's got a new show, New Time or Real Time with Bill Maher, but his stand up is actually really funny. But his political stuff
he's
is not.
like,
So-
yeah, and he's actually pretty good friends with Ann Coulter, if you can believe that.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
he's always-
and
he's-
Coulter
Yeah, but he's always
on Fox News.
he's always dogging her though, all the time.
Oh yeah,
So,
they respect
So
each
let's
other all the time.
let's kind of wrap this up. We'll let's get some finished answers from Joe. Number one, your book, The Vigilante Assassins. A person can go to Amazon.com, pick up a copy of that.
Vigilante terrorist, that is.
Vigilante. So
Wow.
you gave me the wrong book? No. Yeah, that book, that one. Also, hopefully Joe will have a project in the future, so maybe we'll get another chance to read another thing from this author. Politically Incorrect Humor is your website, correct?
Correct.
do you have a YouTube
So,
page or anything or
Not right now, no.
no? But you have a Facebook, correct?
Facebook page, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And what is the Facebook page?
It's the exact same thing. It's called politicallyincorrecthumor.com.
Okay.
If you search on that, you'll find it.
Okay. And kind of refresh everyone as far as impeaching Donald Trump. Do you think they have any proof to have that happen?
I don't think they do, but I think they'll still try to get it through
They'll spin
in the
it.
House anyway.
Okay.
They'll spin it any way they can.
And in your personal opinion, you feel that Donald Trump will win another term?
At this point, of course, 2 years is a long time and anything could happen, but I think he's going to lose the popular vote again just because places like California and New York are so overly skewed Democrat, but I think he will get enough votes in the Electoral College.
I think.
And go ahead, Jason.
I think he's going to win another term. I think because he's got charisma. I mean, the guy's got charisma. I mean,
And a hot wife.
no, he doesn't. But that's another story. No, the guy's got charisma. When he's up there talking, people want to hear him. I mean, who wants to hear Hillary? Hillary's boring. She doesn't have
Right.
have that charisma like Donald Trump does. The guy's
Well,
egotistical. He's egotistical, and people like to see that. They want to see stuff that people don't want to see boring stuff. It's like going to a movie. You don't want to see some love story. You want to see action. You want to see bodies flying all over the place. I mean, you want action. You want that kind of stuff. That's why action
Right.
movies are so popular. But he's popular because he's got it, man. He's got that. He knows how to draw a crowd and to keep the crowd. He knows how to do that.
And they don't know what he's going to say, and sometimes he comes out with stuff that people really get a kick out of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, he's a straight shooter.
Oh,
He's
definitely.
a straight shooter.
Yeah,
and,
I get that.
So what do you think Congress and the House are going to do when it comes to the wall, Joe?
Not a damn thing.
Really? And you don't think that will affect Donald Trump, or will it affect the Democrats in future races?
I think it's going to hit a lot of the middle of the road Democrats, or the Democrats from the Trump states are definitely going to be punished in the midterms, or in the 2020 election, I should say.
Okay.
I've heard rumors that Hillary's going to run again.
I definitely wouldn't surprise me.
I hope not. Get some fresh blood in there.
Run for what? Alderman?
No, for president again. That's the rumor. But then, of course, a lot of 98% of the stuff on social media is a lie. I mean,
right.
What's funny is you put a meme out there, and you can say pretty much anything you want, and people will believe it, and they'll share it, and before you know it, it becomes true. That's the way it is now.
Right.
It's
called the Democratic Party.
No, it's not just that. I mean, you could say anything. You could say that it's going to be raining Hershey's Kisses tomorrow. People are going to believe this stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's amazing what social media has done. I mean, it's got its good points and its bad points, but I think mostly bad.
So, do you have any more questions for Mr. Messerli?
No, I have no question from Mr. Messerli. I'm pretty much done with that, but I might have some later, and maybe he can come back on another show, and we can get rid of these damn trolls. My goodness, I have to apologize for the trolls, Joe. No
worries.
That's just the nature of the beast when it comes to doing stuff on YouTube or any type of social platform. So
definitely,
yeah,
you gotta deal
thanks
with
for having me.
You gotta deal with water-headed idiots. So.
Well, you have yourself a great rest of your weekend, Joe, and maybe someday we'll have you on a future show. And if you can listen in next weekend, hopefully we'll have Steve Motley on our show.
Steve Motley.
And
yeah.
You have a great day, Joe.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
Yep. Take care.
Yep. Bye bye.
Dan, I'm going to let me do a quick shout out right now to anybody who actually, I'm going to do it this way. If anybody out there knows who G-Man is, I've been trying to get a hold of this guy. I really want to have him on the show because I was watching an episode of, I believe it's a Non Sequitur show. And he was talking about how he can't get anybody to talk with him about prison reform. And
yes,
I want to put it out right now. I want to discuss with him prison reform. So if anybody knows G-Man, just let him know that Two Guys in a Mic podcast is trying to get a hold of him, and we want him to come on the show to talk about prison reform. All right?
Yep, that's a very good shout out. And also, if you're an expert in whatever field it is and you would like to be on our show, you can just go to one of our shows that's already been online and put it in your comments that you are trying to get a hold of us. Otherwise, you can go email us at its2guysandamic@gmail.com. Now, It's Two Guys and a Mic is
the number.
Is it spelled out, or
it's the number 2?
It's the number.
Right. It'll be in the description below. I'll put it down there. So
yeah,
and like I said,
and if you have any ideas for future shows,
yes,
any ideas for future shows for those who listen, you're more than welcome to give your advice as far as what you'd like to see in an upcoming show, and we'll put something together.
Definitely, and we're going to see. We have, like I said, Dan has a couple of ideas in his dome, in his melon, that he's swirling around. That we're going to see if we can make it come to fruition. So
there you go.
Yeah, and like I said, every Sunday.
Let me do a shout out real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Dustin Diamond, Screech from
Saved by the Bell.
well, Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been trying to contact you. We'd like to have you on the show too. Don't worry, it's not negative. Everything is in a positive light. If you ever want to bring up anything negative, that's up to you. But we would like to talk to ex-child stars and see how they got into the business, what life was like in the business, and what life is like now. So Dustin Diamond, if you could contact us, we've been trying to contact you. I did get a hold of an old agent of yours, but no one has any information on how to contact you. We're trying to get a hold of you.
Right.
So,
or any child star. If there's any child stars out there that want to come up and tell their story or whatever, that'd be great.
Yep, I would like to get Angus T. Jones on the show.
That can work.
Haven't got. Yeah.
Also, were we thinking about doing another Jehovah's Witness show in the coming future?
Yeah, in the coming future, I would like to try and diversify our shows right now, because we hit the Jehovah's Witnesses pretty heavy last season.
Right.
And this season, I still want to do ex-Jehovah's Witness shows, just not as much, because there's a lot of other topics we want to hit this season.
Okay. And before we go, I want to do one more shout out. I'm going to put all this in the description. But if there's anybody out there, ladies or guys, that were back in the 70s and 80s or even the 60s, if you were part of a church called People's Baptist Church, Lester Roloff was the pastor. If you're a Roloff survivor, get a hold of me at it's2guysandamic@gmail.com. I want to get a show together about Lester Roloff survivors of his church, because there's a lot of stuff that happened over there. So it'd be a really interesting thing to show to have, because I've seen a lot of forums where people go there talking about their stories of abuse and all this other stuff that happened at that church, and nobody has really done a podcast on it. And I'd like to get some people together that were survivors to come and tell their story, and people that were actually there. If there are people that are actually that have good things to say about Lester Roloff, come on the show too. And like I said, it's 2guysandamic@gmail.com. And we'll
the 2 is the number 2.
Right, it's the number 2. So.
Yep.
So all right. Is that all we got there, Dan?
Yep, that's all I got.
Okay, well, once again, I want to thank Joe Messerli for being on the show. I know that I think this is one of the first shows where we've actually had a problem with trolls. I've heard of people having trolls on their shows, and it's never happened to us, but now it has, and it's really, really annoying that you have these people come on here and do that and try to disrupt a civilized conversation, and it's a shame.
Correct.
It's a shame. So, but hopefully we can remedy that somehow. I'll have to look into it and see what we can do to block certain types of numbers that they're using or whatever. Anyway, so that's all I got. But thank you for watching, everybody. We appreciate it, and make sure to subscribe to the channel, and if ring the bell there so you can get the notifications of when we're going to be coming on next live. So, and like I said, what was the name of that guy that might be coming next week?
Steve Motley. Hoping that I can get him on. Sorry, I'm fighting a cold here.
And he's basically a conspiracy theorist, right? Or something like that? Or he deals with that?
Well, I think he is a member of QAnon.
Okay.
I'm not positive, but he's got a lot of very interesting topics that he talks about. Very interesting man. He's a retired United States Marine, and he's done some interesting things in his life. He's I would call an internet sensation. He's got a lot of followers. I mean, thousands and thousands of followers. So I'm hoping he will be on our show next Sunday. If not, we just might have an open mic show.
Yes, I got some topics maybe we could discuss. So,
okay.
All right. So I guess with that, we're going to go ahead and end it. Like I said, thanks for coming out and being here with us today. Like I said, once again, thanks to Joe Messerli for being on the show and tolerating us, our tolerating our antics.
Yep, there you go.
So, all right. Well, stay on the line, Dan. I want to talk to you about something before you go. All right.
Okay.
All right. Now I'm Jason, and of course,
I'm Dan.
That's right. And this is Two Guys on a Mic. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next Sunday at 3:00 sharp. All right. Take it easy.
All right.